On this episode's Ham Nation, power outages, emergency preparedness, and finding your lost pets. Ham Nation is next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This episode of Ham Nation is brought to you by LDG Electronics. LDG Electronics provides state-of-the-art automatic antenna tuners and related products for every amateur need. Visit LDG Electronics to learn more. By Icom. For more information, visit icomamerica.com/hamnation, and by DX Engineering. DX Engineering offers practically everything you need to outfit your shack, plus the fastest shipping in the industry. Most in-stock items ship the same day, Monday through Friday until 10 p.m. Eastern. For more information, visit dxengineering.com/hamnation.
This is Ham Nation, episode number 423, October 12th, 2019, when the lights go out. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Ham Nation. Now, you might be wondering, why am I watching this on a Saturday evening? This is crazy. Well, Petaluma had quite the power outage, and not just Petaluma, all of San Francisco. About 800,000 people were affected, and Twit Studios was part of that. They did not have any power. They could not produce us. They could not use their TriCaster. They couldn't do any shows. So as Victor could probably tell us, it was mass chaos and there was fires everywhere. No, there wasn't. But it was probably crazy town in
it wasn't
San Francisco.
It wasn't everywhere, but it just so happened one of the areas where, they cut the power, it was where our studio is. So, yeah, it
was on that very fine line. I looked on a map and it was just inside the sidewalk, I think, of that. And of course, because we're filming this on a Saturday evening instead of on a Wednesday night, not all of our hosts could be here. So it's probably easier for me to list who we have instead of who we don't have. So tonight we have Gordo, WB6NOA. Thanks, Gordo, for joining us tonight. And Bob said he couldn't join us this evening. And he said, but I think you guys would really enjoy talking to this guy. So why don't you call this guy Mike? I've known him for, 40 years or something like that. I think he'd be fun for you to talk to. So introducing Mike, KA9HNT. Thanks for joining us tonight, Mike.
Well, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for asking me.
Oh, yeah, not a problem. And so not only are there power outages in California, there's also lots of fires going on right now. So Gordo, how's the fire going on there in LA?
Well, we've had our share of wind in the Los Angeles basin area the past 2 days. I was doing fire watch down here in Orange County, and there were many areas of Los Angeles where thousands of residents were turned off from their power service in an abundance of caution that our local power companies are turning off the power in case of any sparking of lines that might cause a wildfire. But doggone it, we did have a wildfire north of the city of Los Angeles that just consumed thousands, hundreds certainly, of acres, stopped many of the freeways, impeded traffic going out of Los Angeles up to the Bay Area big time. And the ham radio operators that took the hundreds of evacuees into many shelters, they fanned out and they provided a wonderful job for those evacuees, because many times when you evacuate a shelter at the last minute, and this was a call early in the morning hours for many residents of Porter Ranch, the residents left with their cell phone, but not the chargers. So the ham radio operators are providing not only their assistance to Red Cross managers by being there to provide comms, but also charging up a lot of those cell phones. So the ham operators in Southern California were very, very busy and continue to be there because they have not let the evacuees back in. So it's been a tough couple of days here in Southern Cal, but the hams have risen to the occasion, and those with the training are staffing those evacuation shelters to serve our clients. Amanda?
That's awesome news. And I have to say that Jeff and I, that's probably one of the number one things is that we run into is that even your law enforcement, your Red Cross workers, and the evacuees themselves, they all run out of battery power. They're like, oh, my cell phone's dying. I don't know. I didn't bring anything with me. I was dispatched right away. Just ran out here. And I think that's probably one of the number one things that we provide when we bring out our quick response vehicle is that we bring chargers for everything, every kind of radio, every kind of phone. And if you want to be helpful, bring those things with you for sure. We appreciate that, Gordo. And thank you to the hams out there working hard in northern Los Angeles. As you know, we're going to talk a lot about power outages and things like that and being prepared. So on the rundown tonight, we've got some fun videos, though. We have a video from Bob about Greenlee punches, and we're going to talk a little bit more about being prepared and what our backup power is. Mike and I are going to discuss some backup power. But before that, we're going to go to Gordo and his short shots. Take it away, Gordo.
All right. Thanks, Amanda. Hopefully you can all hear that. That is my tracking device, and we track all sorts of things. So, Victor, if you want to go ahead and let's go for our tracking devices. Quartz Fest is coming up the last full weekend in January, and at Quartz Fest, we encourage everybody coming to bring their pets. Bring their 4 paws, 2 paws, whatever kind of pet you have, bring them. And we have many, many dogs, many other animals. But the dogs many times will jump out of someone's camper and take a stroll. And it's always a panic when on our Quartzsite Common Radio channel, 146.550, there's an announcement about, Molly just got out. Would everybody look around for a tan German Shepherd? And the whole Quartz Fest gets rolling. And then it was discovered that Molly's aboard the RV after all. And the owner didn't realize that. Well, here's something that we have used for years. It comes from Spence Porter at ComSpec. And remember, ComSpec was the organization that brought you the TE64 tone boards before manufacturers started building CTCSS encode decoders in their radios. Well, anyway, ComSpec is very big on wildlife tagging with all sorts of monitors. And here you see in my left hand, a little bit blurry, but that's a typical size of a wildlife monitor for other than a flying bird, but for wildlife animals. And when affixed to a fluorescent yellow tag that you see just to the tip of my little finger down low, that tag is used for animals. But you see some of the larger ones. ComSpec also makes little pingers for public safety as well as rest homes that have clients with Alzheimer's that sometimes move around. And the heart of the system is not only the $49 little pingers, but also it's a couple $100, the receiver itself. And that receiver that you see is not just a FM receiver. It's a single sideband CW receiver, MDS sensitivity down to a minus 150 dBm. It has an IF filter of 10.7 and an SSB crystal filter, 8-pole, 455 kilohertz, 8-pole ceramic filter, dual MOSFETs in the front end, 6 helical resonators, and they make one just for hams on the 222 megahertz band. Now, the 222 megahertz ham units are generally the dog tags or the cat tags that you see up at the very tip top. The dog tags have a little bit longer antenna, still the 1 milliwatt output at 24 milliseconds. So it's a very short pulse. And again, that pulse sounds like that, and it has 3 levels of attenuation on the receiver, but these will run about a month on the little 2032 battery or the larger battery that you see at the bottom on the more industrial type or the police public safety type tags. Now, these little transmitters on the 222 band transmit a pulse that's only 1 milliwatt, and the pulse is less than a quarter millisecond, and it will not be detectable with an FM receiver. So for those on the 222 band, you won't even know these units are there unless you have weak signal single sideband, and you tune here to above the weak signal portion of the band. And these got 50 channels that they can put these units on, so always a clear channel. And again, here's the ComSpec Pinger. They're under $50, 1 milliwatt, and they go for a month on the common 2032 lithium battery. And they come with a variety of ways of mounting them to your favorite pet. And again, a month of pinging just on this one little tiny battery. For large dogs, you see the yellow one down there in the bottom. It's got a little long tag on it. That's one way to tag your pooch. Another way is to have it built into the collar. Here you barely see the transmitter, and it's built right into the dog collar. And the range down on a busy neighborhood is about 2 blocks, but out in the open on a direct line of sight, it could be 2 miles for a little 1 milliwatt signal onto a quarter wavelength antenna. And again, for little cats, they don't need the big long hanging down antenna. The antenna is actually built right into this reflective breakaway tag. And again, it runs on a 2032 battery and will go for quite some time. And you may think that putting it on your cat, they're going to go bonkers. Generally, they don't even know it's there once it's on. So if you've got a cat that helps you with the coaxial cable, or you got a cat that will just stare you down, here you see the transmitters. They're nice and snug, but they'll break away if caught. And Mr. Q here doesn't even know he's transmitting his signal. And we found that cat once locked up somewhere, and the tag saved his life. You can also save your ham radio equipment from someone locally making off with it. Here at the county fair, there's a ton of workers that stay right on the fairgrounds, and I bet a couple that wouldn't mind having one of these neat Icom or the Kenwood radio. So inside the radio, I always put one of the dog tags all coiled up. And if for any reason I find that the radio is no longer there at the booth at the ham fair, I turn on my receiver, and once the receiver's on, that tells me that it's pretty close in the vicinity, and I can generally track it down with a portable ComSpec receiver. They also put these on rockets as well as on copters like this. And again, in the air, the signal is much stronger, even though it's almost beyond line of sight. You can still pick it up. And at 222, it's not going to interfere with some of the other helicopter drone equipment for maneuvering remotely. And we need more kids in our hobby, and nothing beats T-hunting. And you'll notice that the ComSpec T-Hunt antenna is a Moxon, about 5 dB of gain. It is very directional to these little tags. And notice there's no sharp edges, so it's a great way to train the kids to ultimately get their ham radio license and use it on the ham channels for T-hunting, and putting it on a pet is a great way to go. The ComSpec unit comes with a signal strength meter, but quite frankly, I use the attenuation method. The attenuation steps are 0 dB, minus 30 dB or minus 60 dB, and they've just re-engineered their receiver with a minus 90 dB attenuator, which means that you won't hear the signal till you're within about 10 feet of the tag. So if you've lost pooch or furball and you pick them up on the long range and you get closer to medium range, you get real close to close range, but you still can't find them, go to the 90 dB attenuation and start moving that unit around, and oh my goodness, not in a storage locker. Yep, there he is. So these are great units, and the receivers work just off of a common 9-volt battery, and it can also take an external 12 volts as well as a set of headphones, so as you're snooping around the middle of the night, you're not going to upset your neighbors. Public safety, we found out, uses these as well. They've got a dog that will sniff out any human and will bark like mad. That's Fritz. And here we see a public safety personnel when Fritz is off leash, being able to tell exactly where in the compound the dog is, just with the unit he's holding on his right hand. So these little ComSpec receivers, pretty neat units. They've now come even smaller yet in size, and they really work well in finding pooch, or finding meowers, or finding your kids that maybe wander off, or maybe your grandma that sometimes just walks away down the street and gets lost. A lot of folks are going to this. You can get more information by going to com-spec comspec. I believe it's .org, or go to, no, it's com-spec.com. There we go. spec.com, and they've got the cat locator. They probably got one that says the dog locator, the pooch locator, but they really work. So if you've got a very special friend, take a look at com-spec.com and see what it takes to outfit yourself. The whole deal, well under $300, brand new, and they really take good care of you at Spence Porter's operation, ComSpec in Orange, California. So that's my story here, and we hope everybody has a great weekend that is upon us. Next weekend, Bob and I will be up at Pacificon, the big ham radio convention in San Ramon in the Bay Area. So we hope to see you there if you're tuning us in live. Well, live and direct, let's go to LDG and find out what's new with those great LDG antenna tuners.
This episode of Ham Nation is brought to you by the good folks at LDG Electronics. LDG Electronics provides state-of-the-art automatic antenna tuners for every amateur need, from QRP to QRO, including fixed stations, portable, and remote. An LDG tuner will match your radio to your antenna using their lightning-fast proprietary tuning algorithms. You got to check out the LDG AT1000 Pro 2. That's their flagship automatic antenna tuner, made for QRO hams. It'll handle 1,000-watt sideband, 500 watts FM and digital. Tunes from 1.8 to 54 megahertz continuously. You can match Yagis, dipoles, inverted V slopers, virtually any coax fed antenna from 6 to 1,000 ohms in impedance. Tuning time is under 10 seconds. Memory tuning under 0.2 of 1 second. Has a large, easy-to-read bar graph watt meter with 2 selectable ranges, dual antenna switch, 2,000 memories for each position. And LDG is a family-owned and operated company, and that's important because they're dedicated to bringing innovative, quality products to the amateur market. Their focus is on anticipating and meeting your needs, and then providing you with world-class support that is only a call or an email away. And all LDG tuners carry a full 2-year warranty that is fully transferable. If you ever sell or give away your LDG tuner, the remainder of the warranty goes with it. Free return shipping on all warranty repairs, too. All LDG products, including ballons and cables, are available for purchase through select retailers, so check out which automatic antenna tuner is right for you. And then go to ldgelectronics.com to learn more. That's ldgelectronics.com. And we thank LDG Electronics for their support of Ham Nation.
All right, thanks for that, Don. Okay, joining us tonight, we have Mike, KA9HNT. Thanks, Mike, for being here tonight. Now, I have to say that a lot of times we have our guests scheduled weeks in advance. This poor guy, Mike, he got thrown under the bus on, I think, what was it, Thursday?
I got a call for Thursday, yes.
Yeah. And well, why don't you tell us how did you meet Bob Heil, and how did you guys become friends?
I met Bob Heil, I guess, about 40 plus years ago. He was at a Hamfest in the St. Louis area, and he was selling his 11 meter to 10 meter conversion kits in his books. And we got talking and all that, and he was 30, 40 miles from us. We were part of the same club. Bob had a fantastic repeater system that covered most of southern Illinois, and I was lucky enough to help him, take care of some of that stuff. He was a great mentor.
Now, wait, I have to dive into this a little bit more. I think this is the first time I've ever heard that Bob helped maintain a repeater system. So tell me a little bit about that.
He had a repeater that was up on a coal silo in southern Illinois over in Marissa. And he had receive sites around Fairview Heights, southern Illinois, Comstock, Missouri. He had receive sites around there, and I think the transmitter was like 400 watts. And you could pick it up through most of southern Illinois.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. He has, I don't believe, chat room, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do not believe he's ever talked about that. So that's pretty unique. So tell me what you do now.
I work for a college. I'm manager of telecommunications. I take care of about 3,000 telephones. We have 13 repeaters. Most of them are DMR. Some are analog FM. And about 300 radios. Most of them are DMR. I also take care of a radio station for the college, too.
Wow. So do you broadcasting, commercial radio? That's kind of fun. What got you interested in doing that?
When I was in college, we had a college radio station, and there weren't a lot of people on the technical side of it that understood, how it worked and all that. And my instructor asked me if I could be an assistant chief engineer. So I did that for, I guess, about a year. Then he stepped down and he became the assistant. I became the chief. So I did that, and I worked a number of stations over the years, worked in TV on the side. I got to do most of the Rams games from like 99 through 2004. So it's fun. I love it.
Oh, until the Rams moved away. How about that? Let's see. So you sent us some pictures. We'll go over, since we're talking about power outages and backup power. Mike's actually got quite a good setup. So, Victor, if you want to go ahead, you can tell us what you got there, Mike.
Okay, this is just a plain old ammo can. And you see these things at the Hamfest at times. You also see them over at Xenia. There's a group that actually sells the stuff for the insides. And so I put a Biano 12-volt, 30-amp-hour lithium iron phosphate battery in there. It's put in there with the strap. The output's fused, and it's connected to the power panel. The panel meter's switched, and it's got voltage and current metering. The output supports power poles and 2.1 amp USB. I also keep the charger in there for the Biano. We have a West Mountain Epic power gate in the unit. The power gate will automatically switch between the power supply that's on commercial power to the battery backup. It also supports a solar panel, and then the output of the power gate is connected to the power pole distribution for the accessories. The nice thing about the USB, you can plug lights in there, your cell phone charger, and that type of stuff. It's great for working field day, or if you're out in the darkness there, at least you can light up your logs in that. If it's nice and warm out there, you can plug a fan in there. I got a USB fan, so great for those hot days here in the Midwest. I have another ammo can I end up using for the remotes, and that one's got my Yaesu 857 in it, along with a bunch of accessories. I usually use this on field day. The case holds the radio, the power cord, the mics, a short piece of coax that connects the radio to the antenna tuner, and a power pole monitor so I can watch the power on the unit. So, this is great for working on batteries and all that, but, really when you want to operate from your house and all, this is one of my sub panels I have in my house. So the sub panel supplies essential power to my house. It supports kind of like the critical lighting, the refrigeration, the freezer, the heating, and of course the amateur radio equipment. So I got a transfer switch in front of it that hooks up to the generator. So if I need to, I can plug the generator into this unit and it'll work. I also got a solar system up on the roof. This inverter also goes into the sub panel, so it helps supplement the power for the house. I got 2 strings of solar panels up on the roof. This is one side. I got 5 kilowatts for each string for a total of 10 kilowatts of solar panels. I got a couple generators in the house. This is my little one. I like this one. It's a small 2 kilowatt DC inverter. I can run this at nighttime, power some of the equipment. If you're running during the nighttime, during the summer, you might want to make sure you got a generator that's quiet so you don't disturb your neighbors. I'll run my bigger generator during the day and the evening, being careful to keep the noise down. This one's a much bigger generator that a friend has. It's a propane unit, can power his whole house. So, I mean, backup power is nice. I mean, you can run it off of batteries for a while, but at some point you got to get the refrigeration, the light working. It's nice to, get the coffee maker working. So keep the essentials working in the house. Just remember, though, don't run your generator inside the house or camp stove. Also don't, in the colder months, don't heat your house with your oven. The carbon monoxide's a killer.
Absolutely. And I wanted to ask you, how many times have you actually lost power where you could rely on any of those things?
Well, back in 2006, we had an ice storm that came through the Midwest, and we lost power for 6 days and 18 hours. No, I wasn't counting. But, yeah, it was cold then, too. And we had the ice storm, and then it got colder after that. So I was running the generators, the fireplaces. The nice thing about my heating system, it can run off about 500 watts. So I can actually run that on the system and heat my whole house.
Wow.
Great. And I think Gordo has a question, too.
Hey, Michael, did you have to try different types of solar panel controllers that other folks had and sniff it out with the receiver to see which one's going to be the lowest noise one for high frequency operation to keep the noise out of the panel noise out of the HF radio?
Yes. I have a friend that had the same panels on his business. So I went over there with an HT that did HF with sideband on it, so I can actually go over there and listen to the noise floor. And it went up a little bit. I have a little bit of problem on 40 during the daytime, but I requested they run everything through conduit, everything be grounded. The conduit from the roof down suppress most of it. I have Maxim PowerPoint transfer optimizers up on behind each panel, and they produce a noise. But other than that, 20 is good, 40 is a little noisy during the day. But, once the sun sets, like when I get home, then everything's nice and clean and quiet.
Gordo, that was a great question. And I'm just curious, have you heard of others causing noise? Is that why you brought that up? I had never heard of that before.
Oh, yeah. We have a neighbor across the street, and that was my first concern when I saw those panels going up on the house, Amanda, and that is I hope it's not going to be noisy. And same thing here. I found that I could sort of hear it on 40 and 75 doing its voltage regulation at bright sunlight, but early in the morning, great band conditions, and late on the evening, great gray line, the noise subsided because there was not a lot of regulation going on. The panels were using all of the sunlight it could get, and that's a consideration. The inexpensive, no-name imported solar charger controllers, not the panels themselves, but the controllers, some of those have some pretty hefty spikes that go anywhere from 100 to sometimes 500 feet away. And luckily, that's not the case here, or Michael, there.
Exactly. And I'm sorry, Michael, to interrupt your our interview, but I'm kind of interested on this. So, Gordo, have you found that there's maybe makers from China compared to American ones are different, or it just depends on what?
I think, Amanda, as Michael will tell you, a lot depends on the professional installation, the good grounding of all of the wires that may have noise on them. And in my case, adding some ferrite beads finally licked the problem, except during high noon when most panels will go into a chatter effect as it's sensing that the batteries they're supplying are plumb full.
Very good. Thanks, Gordo, for your insight there. Appreciate that. Now, Mike, so how long have you had your solar system?
About a year and a half right now.
Okay. And it seems like you're pretty happy with it.
It's good. And I had one small problem with the inverter, but otherwise it's nice to see your electric bill reduced. I mean, you're getting energy from the sun, and, it's there in case you need it.
Right. And so we talked about this the other night. I asked if you did battery banks or if it fed back into the grid. It feeds back into the grid, correct? And you see a lower power bill. Okay, let's switch back over to ham radio now. I see that you're an AMSAT member. You like to work satellites. You like to work HF. Tell me about what you do in ham radio.
We have a club here in the Belleville area, and vice president of the club. I mean, I love doing the activities out there. We go out for field day. They're going to be doing sweepstakes here pretty soon. But I like HF. When I was initially licensed, I was a novice. And, the CW was okay. And then I got my Tech Plus, and I just loved it. That's when I got into satellites. AO7 and AO40 was up, and you could sit there and talk for hours on a satellite, and it was a blast. And after that, I ended up getting my extra, and I found a whole new exciting world of HF. And you can talk around the world, and from your car, you could talk low power. It was a blast. So I'm on there a lot now.
Absolutely. I think that we can all agree that we love HF, even Gordo there. And so I always ask a few different questions, the same questions of all of our guests if I get to interview them. My first one is, how did you get into ham radio?
When I was young, I always found that radio was magical. Even in broadcasting. I mean, you can talk from point A to point B, and there's no wires, and it's no smoke. It's magical how you can talk from one point to the other. And it was interesting that, you can communicate, across the state or across the world with, the radios. And then you meet so many interesting people out there, people that different fields, different jobs, different opinions. And it's very interesting to, actually sit there and talk to them.
Oh, absolutely. So, and I remember asking Joe Walsh that question the best, and he had the best answer, and everybody that watched it knows. He said, I was walking around this apartment building. I saw all these antennas up there. I had to go knock on this guy's door and ask him what he was doing. So I'd love to hear everybody's answers for that. I appreciate that. Thank you, Michael. And the next thing is, so do you have any memorable, what's your most memorable contact on ham radio?
Garrett, I got to hear him when he was in the it was the shuttle, and he was coming up. Yes, and it was very impressive. We were sitting there listening just off of a vertical antenna on the roof, and he was about 3 minutes early, I believe. And it was just so impressive to hear him. My friend on the other side of St. Louis called me on the phone and goes, I'm hearing this. Somebody must be on here jamming us. It's like, no, I think that's him. And it was just so neat to hear somebody in the shuttle with a walkie-talkie that you could hear miles away.
Wow.
I'm sorry. Evidently, my dog Radio wanted to speak up about this too because he believes in these ISS contacts and thought it was amazing as well. I apologize. Well, thank you for that. With that, we're going to go ahead and close up the interview. We're going to go to an ad from Icom. Stay around, Michael. You'll have more to talk about.
All right. Thank you.
Heard it, worked it, logged it. It's time to get the transceiver that's best suited for your lifestyle. Icom offers a variety of high-performance and innovative products. Make the most out of contest season with one of these Icoms today. IC7610, the SDR every ham wants. This high-performance SDR has the ability to pick out the faintest of signals, even in the presence of stronger adjacent signals. The Icom IC7610 is a direct sampling, software-defined radio that will change the world's definition of a SDR transceiver. RF direct sampling, 110 RMDR, independent dual receivers, and dual digicell. Or get the IC7300. Changing the way entry-level HF is designed, this high-performance, innovative HF transceiver with a compact design will far exceed your expectations. RF direct sampling, 15 discrete bandpass filters, large 4.3-inch color touchscreen, real-time spectrum scope, and SD memory card slot. Keep your competitive edge with faster processors, higher input gain, higher display resolution, and a cleaner signal. Icom's IC7851 is the pinnacle of HF perfection. Dual receivers, digital IF filters, memory keyer, digital voice recorder, high-resolution spectrum waterfall display, enhanced PC connectivity, and SD memory card slot. Visit ICOMAmerica.com/amateur for more information on all the great Icom radios. And Icom invites you to enter weekly after each episode of Ham Nation by going to ICOMAmerica.com/HamNation and registering for the weekly swag prize drawing, great t-shirts and hats, and lots of other goodies they stuff in the box there. And you'll automatically be entered in the grand prize drawing for a new radio. And for October, that new radio is the Icom ID4100A entry-level D-Star Mobile with big rig features. VHF, UHF dual band mobile, one band at a time. It's got built-in GPS, DV and FM near repeater search function, a micro SD card slot for voice and data storage. It supports terminal mode and access point mode, and there's downloadable Android and iOS apps available. So go to ICOMAmerica.com/HamNation after this in each episode and register to win. Sign up, good luck, and don't forget to follow Icom America Inc. on Facebook and Twitter.
From Amateur Radio Newsline Report number 2188, these are the Ham Nation headlines for Wednesday, October 9th, 2019. First this week, breaking news. We at Amateur Radio Newsline and Ham Nation are saddened to learn of the passing of Larry Junstrom, K4EB. He died just as this newscast was going into production on Sunday, October 6th. Larry was the bass player for 38 Special and a founding member of Lynyrd Skynyrd. He was 70 years old. Larry was a guest on Ham Nation Episode 4 back on June 14th, 2011. Our thoughts and prayers are with his family and fans all around the world. We begin this week's report with a story of cooperation in the face of yet another hurricane. Anchor Stephen Kinford, N8WB.
While hams in the Azores activated their emergency network with the approach of Hurricane Lorenzo in the final days of September, AMSAT announced it was making amateur satellite AO92 available as requested by hams in the Azores. The availability of the satellite helped bolster readiness, which also got a boost from HF operations, local analog repeaters, and DMR. The AO92 satellite was launched in January of 2018. In an unusual occurrence, the hurricane crossed the Atlantic Ocean and was headed toward Europe as an extratropical cyclone, weakening somewhat en route.
Never mind going to the library to find a book. How about checking out a chat with an astronaut instead?
It's not unusual for the Sonoma County Main Library to bring the world to visitors. On the 1st of October, however, the library delivered the world via radio. A radio aboard the International Space Station operated by astronaut Ken Haig, KG5TMV, in a telebridge contact sponsored by the Sonoma County Radio Amateurs and linked with the ARIS telebridge station K6DUE in Greenbelt, Maryland. Youngsters from the Santa Rosa Middle School got to ask the astronauts a range of questions. The students, many of whom had been affected by the recent California wildfires, wanted to know how natural disasters, including the current crop of Atlantic hurricanes, looked when viewed from space, and what it felt like sitting aboard a rocket as it hurtled away from the Earth. Tim Bosma, W6MU, director of the amateur radio ground station at the Santa Rosa Junior College, said that the college's involvement in the ARIS contact helped spark the students' imaginations and hopefully increase their interest in science. Of course, if they're looking for any books on the subject, they'll be back at the library before too long. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Kevin Trotman, N5PRE.
3 amateur radio clubs in the UK are feeling mighty proud right now.
The Radio Society of Great Britain has announced the top 3 winners in its National Club of the Year competition for 2018. Top honours went to the Hildeston Radio Society in Region 10, followed by the Bush Valley Amateur Radio Club in Region 8. The third place went to Essex Ham in Region 12. The Hildeston Society, which meets in Margate, notes on its website that it is a repeat award winner, having previously received Club of the Year honours in its region for 2013, 14 and 15. The Bush Valley Club has been meeting since 2008 and meets on the last Thursday of each month, according to its website. Essex Ham began in 2011, developing from a website created to assist new holders of foundation licenses, and it now supports local area clubs as well. The awards were made at the Society's National Hamfest, held in Newark on the 27th and 28th of September. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Jeremy Boot, G4NJH.
And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news for 4 decades and counting at arnewsline.org. With Stephen Kenford, N8WB, Kevin Trotman, N5PRE, Jeremy Boot, G4NJH, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe. I'm Don Wilbanks, AE5DW. 7-3. We'll see you next time here on Ham Nation.
Thanks, Don. And, Don's out cruising the coast, actually, that he was doing that earlier this week, and he was having a blast. I was watching him on Facebook, and I think he had too much of a good time, but now he's out visiting family. That's why he couldn't join us this weekend. And up next, we've got a video from Bob about Greenlee punches. And you might say, well, we're talking about like emergency power and power outages. Where does this come from? Everybody loved this video. So Bob thought it was only appropriate to mix it up a little bit and show off these. And I think everyone's in, and I don't. This is Jeff's. This is Jeff's Greenlee punch. And they're expensive, but worth it. So check it out.
Well, here's the finished product. The AC1 CW transmitter, the Amico kit. It was really fun to build, and very, very nice parts and construction of all the parts, and the chassis was great. They did a wonderful job. But I paired it with one of our Icom 730 modulators. I had a spare one here. I use it on my AM stations. So I thought we'll put this little baby on AM. It only took 2 wires to do it and a ground. But what I did is I took my Greenlee punches and we punched a little hole in the back to put an 8-pin socket in it. And we connected that cable to the output of the modulator, and it works great. So let's investigate a little more about how the Greenlees work. They have a bolt. You drill a pilot hole for that, and that will go on one side of the chassis. This will go inside. Oh, wrong way. And as we tighten that bolt, it's going to cut a nice hole in the steel. Greenlee punches are great. Takes a lot of force to do that, but works well. So let's get the chassis down here and make our hole. What we're doing is we're making a hole to mount this socket so we can put a modulator into the AC1. Got the wrench all attached here. Got them inside, ready to go. And all we got to do is start moving with the old wrench, and away she goes. Takes a little pressure to get it going, but once she's going, she'll start cutting, and it'll cut through, and bingo, we're going to be there just a couple of minutes. Take a look inside. And as she pulls through, you can see the threads. Aha! Got the last one. Come on here, dude. Felt it. There, come on. There she went. And we have successfully put a nice hole in the back of the little AC1, and guess what fits? I hope. There we go. We'll mount our mounting ring on the back, and we'll be ready to mount the modulator. Well, to wire the modulator. So there you have the history of my Greenlees and how they work. While at it, I'll show you one of the most important jobs. You have to clean this out. So you take that loose and you go in here and you find the little piece of metal that you cut. Look at that. Be sure you take that, throw it away, because if you don't, the next time you use it, you don't have to go in and clean it out. Sometimes it's kind of hard to get those out of there, but this one came out very easy. But look how thick that metal is. That's pretty super. So there we have the complete story of the Greenlee punch. And the other thing I did is I instead of using a key, because it's for AM now, I use one of our push-to-talk switches to key the radio, or to key the transmitter. So we got the transmitter all keyed up with that. And it works really good. I'm very happy. And it was pretty simple. 2 wires in the ground, that's all we needed to come out. We just split the B+ wire of the final amplifier in the AC1, put it in series with the modulation transformer, and we're ready to ride. Let's take a listen, see how good it is. And there we are. That is the AC1 Amico CW transmitter on AM. Very, very cool. Can't wait to get it on the air and make some contacts.
It's almost here. After months of planning and anticipation, the Victor Papa 6 Romeo Pitcairn Island DXpedition is right around the corner. And DX Engineering has been a major supporter of this huge undertaking by providing equipment to help DXers around the world put this historic DXCC entity in their logbooks. Here are some of the details you need to know. The VP6R team is scheduled to be QRV from Pitcairn October 18th to November 1st. 8 stations are in the plans. An international team of experienced DXpeditioners will be on sideband 80, 40, 20, 17, 15, 12, and 10 meters, CW 160 through 10, RTTY 80 through 10, and FT8 160 through 10, plus 6 meters and 6 meters EME. The DXpedition will also be participating as a multi entry in the CQ Worldwide SSB contest on October 26 and 27, the first time a Victor Papa 6 multiplier has been offered in the contest. Now, while operating on Pitcairn, the team will be relying heavily on DX Engineering equipment, including a 90-foot top-loaded 160-meter vertical antenna that was originally custom designed and manufactured by the hams at DX Engineering for the Bouvet 3 Yankee 0 Zulu DXpedition. The top band antenna features a heavy-duty hinged pivot base with custom base insulators to accommodate a 40-foot falling derrick made with 3-inch diameter pipe. Other DX Engineering gear to be used on the island includes 400 max, low-loss 50-ohm coax assemblies, NCC2 receive antenna phasing system, the RF Pro 1B active magnetic loop antenna, the TF-S4 Series B transmit 4-square system and phasing cables, phased array quarter-wave tuned cable, and RADP3 radio plates. Now, if you're planning on upgrading your station in time for Pitcairn, there's still time. And DX Engineering has everything you need, including transceivers, amplifiers, headsets, coax, and more. And, of course, knowledgeable help from the experienced hams at DX Engineering who will be joining you in the pileups later on this month. DX Engineering ships faster than anybody else in the industry. Most orders placed by 10 p.m. Eastern are shipped the same day. Proven products and expert advice, DX Engineering is helping you shrink the globe. Request your catalog or shop online 24/7 at dxengineering.com/HamNation. And, of course, we thank DX Engineering for their support of Ham Nation.
All right. Thanks, Don, for that. Thank you, DX Engineering. All right, Mike, I just want to go back to you real quick. You had sent me a little text message talking about what one of your friends had to do. Why don't you explain that real quick, like?
See, I got my Greenlees out.
Okay. Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So they're great tools. I mean, yeah, you got to have your Greenlees. Yeah, one of the members in our club has a solar panel up next to his house, and it's got microinverters on behind each panel, and it just completely trashed out the HF. So his only option was either to hook up the whole solar system and move it to the other side of his property, or move the HF antennas. So he elected to move the HF antennas. That's the only thing he could really do.
Oh, man.
Wow.
And, you know, a lot of people say that they have these solar problems, but we have these states now in the U.S. where they allowed us all to grow marijuana. So we have bigger problems than that. We have all of these ballasts around that we have no control over and nothing to do. And Gordo, I heard you in the background. You're still there, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm still here, and that is our nemesis on HF, especially at night, and that are those darn imported grow lights that have no UL, no CE, no nothing for approval from the commission. It's the black market on not only what they may be growing, but also a black market on these inexpensive grow lights. They go blocks on HF because the noise is induced in the power lines, and the power lines, 234 volt ones, carry it until they get to a huge transformer, and finally the signal disappears. But let me tell you, if you're on that section of the power service, those grow lights will drive you nuts. And there's no simple way around them other than convincing the owners they ought to pull the plug, because the police department may be tuning into them with, you get the idea, a little scare, and many times they'll upgrade to better grow lights or let their crop get natural sunlight that has no noise.
There you go. I know it's been a disturbance in a lot of places. Now, Illinois is also one of those states now, right, Mike?
January 1st, yes. They should be allowed marijuana.
Oh, all right. So we have the problem everywhere. And every time we point west with our A4S, same thing. We get a bunch of noise over here. So there's someone in these apartment buildings nearby me that's growing. All right.
Wait, Amanda?
Yeah.
What do you mean by pointing west and the noise comes up?
I am pointing west right now. This is me pointing west in my house. And seriously, those guys, I don't know who they are, but they've put something in their apartment building that has caused us a lot of noise on 20 and 40, and it's ridiculous. So.
Oh, I thought you were pointing west to my house or my community. Okay, never mind.
Oh, no, I was not pointing to Mr. West, not implying anything. There's probably plenty in between us. All right. So I wanted to talk a little bit about preparedness. We have our own, not solar, we have our own home generator setup going on here. And Victor is going to show some of those photos. And we have a Champion, and you know what? I can't even remember the kilowatts of it. But when the power goes out, and Jeff sold you, by the way, you guys, backstory here. Jeff sold me this on saying, just think about it. It's a blizzard. You're watching the Denver Broncos on a Sunday afternoon, and the power goes out. This is going to help solve that. And I said, okay. So anyhow, we hooked it up to our natural gas, and that's just the little box there that when it flips over, you can see that there's part of the generator there. We had a friend come over and help us hook it up to our natural gas line, which was great. We've honestly only lost the power one time, and it was on like a Sunday morning, and the power was out in the whole town for about 3 hours. And it really did come in handy because I got coffee, but one of these days we're going to have a blizzard where it knocks down all of the power lines, and we're going to be the only game in town that has lights on in their house. And we plan on doing the right thing. We'll have our friends, family over, whoever needs heat, and make sure that everyone gets fed, Or around here, everyone has a grill, so I'm guessing that they could make their own food and stuff. But I really worry about in the middle of the winter time when there's no heat for people. This will supply power to and this is our little generator. Yes, I know it's a Harbor Freight special, but whatever. We take it with our camper, and it does the job. It'll run the AC. It's not happy about it, but we like it. And I wanted to before I get into serious talk, Jeff's going to actually turn off the power to our house right now and show you how quick this generator comes back up and supplies.
So anyway, the power came up. I lost my voice. Go ahead, Amanda. And Amanda is saying...
Power good. There you go.
It was good, Amanda. That was a good test.
There you go. So the generator just kicked on, and now we're on generator power. So kind of fun.
That's great.
I do want to talk just in reality. If you guys are actually if your emergency services, your emergency management teams out there telling you, hey, we're about to lose power for about 72 hours. We as hams, we're probably already prepared. Gordo, I know you are. Mike, you are, right? We're prepared for that. Okay. Just a few things to think about when you want to get on the air, like on your local repeaters and talk to others, and y'all want to discuss about this power outage and stuff. Think about a plan. Think about a comm plan. Know which repeaters are actually on backup power. Know which ones are on solar. Know which ones are on battery, and which ones are on propane generators. So, and then you put that into place, and then you kind of organize what you're going to do from there. Basically, what you want to do is you do not want to just sit there and chit chat and waste all of the power on all of these repeaters. I know you guys know this. I'm just reminding you because sometimes we forget. But do like an hourly check-in or something like that. Don't just continuously talk because they are going to run out of power, and they're usually on a shared site. So if it's with a radio station that's transmitting 50,000 watts, you're not going to last that long. And they don't always have resources to get gas back up there to refuel these generators. So just think about those things and work with your clubs or your Aries groups, and you kind of work on that plan and say, well, we'll have a net control and we'll put them in place, and we'll take a check-in at the top of every hour or at the bottom of every hour, or go back and forth between repeater systems and work it out. But don't just always go on there. What's going on out there? How's the weather? Be reasonable. Don't you agree, Gordo?
I do. Yep. They need to really do a lot of listening, not much transmitting. And that's what we heard out of the Los Angeles group that were handling all of the evacuees. They would only transmit when they had priority traffic, and they mostly listened. And last I heard them a few minutes ago, they're doing a fabulous job of taking care of those that were displaced by our fires.
Very good. And, we just lost a repeater site. We have a fire about 30 miles away from us, and it really flamed up, burned down 30 power poles up to the mountaintop, and that mountaintop is about 13,000 feet or so, 14,000 feet of line. And they just flew in a generator, a 70 kilowatt generator, but they have to go up there and refuel it every 3 days. It's supplying power to 21 different transmitters, including our ham radio. So we have to take that into account and realize, we have the power there now, and we also have a webcam up there. So that's kind of nice because we can see where the smoke is and what the fire is doing. But should we actually utilize that if they have to fly a helicopter with fuel every 3 days? It's just don't take advantage. So with that, Mike, Gordo, I know you guys both need to jump. Well, Gordo, mostly you. I know you need to jump out of here. Any final thoughts before we let you go?
Yes, we just say thanks to all the ham operators that are continuously working with their served agency, fire, police, American Red Cross. And I've already got a call right now, so I've got to jump out of here. So 73 to all of you. Amanda, thanks for running a great show. Michael, great to see you. And I will look forward to seeing all of you maybe at Pacificon coming up shortly.
Great job, Amanda.
And that's Susie, Amanda. So ladies support. Michael, thanks again, and see you all later. Amanda?
All right. I think Victor might have one more thing for us.
Oh, yeah.
Gordo, feel free to take out.
Thanks, Gordo. And before you ask Mike, I kind of have a little bit of breaking news here. And it's yeah, that's the news breaking. It's a little video from Bob.
For you. It's your birthday. So I thought we'd fire up the big theater organ and play Happy Birthday. Here we go.
Happy birthday, Amanda.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Amanda.
Thank you. And you know what? Actually, there's about 4 of us hosts that have birthdays in October. And I kind of requested this video because Don, October 3rd. Bob, I do believe, is October 7th, who just had his birthday last weekend. Me on the 11th, and Valerie on October 22nd. So this is kind of the Libra show, and it's our month. So I really wanted to see that played. So thanks, Bob, for sharing that, and thanks, Victor, as well. So,
well, it was custom made for you, Amanda. So
I appreciate that.
Happy birthday to the others also, but
yes. All right, you guys. You know what? We've filled up an hour and then some. Gordo, I know you got to go. You just hang up anytime. Mike, thank you so much for being here tonight. Really appreciate that. I know we really chucked you under the bus and said, we need a fill-in.
It's fun.
You did a wonderful job, and you had great content for us this evening. I appreciate that. And before we wrap it up, I do have to mention that the D-Star Net, they were going to have an informal net. So join them on 14 Charlie this evening and see if you can check in and say hello. So with that, we'll go ahead and wrap it up and all that good stuff. Thank you, Victor. I know Twit's been probably blah, 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 crazy. So glad you could do this.
You did great, Amanda.
Thanks
for taking over today.
No problem. Thanks, everyone, for being here with us tonight. We appreciate it. Thanks for joining us on a weird, awkward time, but join us again next Wednesday when things should be back to normal. 73, everybody. This is Amanda, K1DDN.
Michael, KA9HNT, 73s.